This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The demonic dragon let out a terrified cry and quickly retreated. It was trembling from a distance as it was intimidated by the level pressure of the inheritance in its bloodline. Even Yunxiao, a human being, was affected by the dragon bone bead, and a great fear rose in his soul. Holding the bead with one hand was like blasphemy, and he wished he could worship it. Is this the power of a true dragon, Lao AI? You're a powerful creature that only exists in ancient myths and can still possess such a powerful might even after so many years. Let me see what's inside you, and who refined you into a bead. Yunxiao tried his best to withstand the great dragon might and kept sending all kinds of incantation seals into the dragon bone pearl. Beams of light shot out from it, filling the sky with a gorgeous glow. His figure was also illuminated by the multicolored light. The dragon bone pearl was like an energy source filled with infinite energy. Under Yunxiao's control, it kept shooting out bright light. At first, it was an extremely fierce light, but later, it became slower and slower, as if it was about to wither. As the dragon bone pearl's energy continued to weaken, the dragon's might also gradually weakened and gradually lost its divinity. The demonic dragon in the distance slowly got used to it. It flew closer and said in a serious tone, "What do you want to do?" At the moment, Yunxiao's full attention was on the dragon bone pearl, so he had no time to pay attention to him. After his soul power broke through to the 8th tier alchemist realm, his aura was completely different from before. If his soul power and cultivation base before were as weak as a sick cat, now he finally felt a little bit of power, and he could do as he pleased. After half an incense's time, the dragon bone bead seemed to have been completely emptied. The light had almost dissipated, and it became no different from an ordinary bone bead. No matter how you cast a spell on it, it would not be dead or alive. It was completely exhausted. "I'm cleaning it." Yunxiao's face lit up with excitement, as if he was looking at a precious piece of art. This dragon bone bead has been refined by an alchemist, and there is a lot of other energy in it besides the dragon's might. If I want to see the technique of the alchemist who refined this dragon bone bead, I must first remove all his energy before I can get a clue. To put it bluntly, it's the same principle as dismantling a profound armament. The demonic dragon took a deep breath and exclaimed, "By doing this, aren't you destroying this pearl?" Yunxiao chuckled and said, "It's not to the extent of being destroyed. After all, it's not an ordinary profound armament. It's just that it has completely lost its energy. As long as I can find the key to it, I might be able to fill it with power." He grabbed the bead in his hand, and the ancient heaven's eye on his forehead suddenly opened. The 3 eyes turned blood red at the same time and shot out 3 demonic lights. They formed a simple array in the air and entered the dragon bone bead. With an extra eye, I can actually form 3 seals with my eye technique. Under the illumination of Yunxiao's 3-in-1 seal, the dragon bone pearl turned red. At this moment, Yunxiao's divine sense was infinitely reduced. He rushed into the dragon bone pearl and carefully observed it, unwilling to miss any tiny existence. Time passed by slowly. The demonic dragon hovered in the air quietly, gazing at Shi Yan, not daring to disturb him. With the continuous improvement of his strength, especially after his soul power broke through to the 8th tier, Yunxiao's aura was more and more similar to Gu Feiyang's, but much stronger than that of Gu Feiyang's. "This is a Kasaya." Yunxiao suddenly cried out in alarm, and all 3 of his eyes trembled at the same time, as if he had seen something extremely incredible. His face turned extremely serious. The demonic dragon was startled by his voice and said in surprise, "What's wrong?" Yunxiao's face was solemn. Without saying a word, he quickly formed a seal with both hands, and the light from his 3 pupils turned, shooting out 3 extremely strong spiritual power that condensed into a white curtain in the air, on which a pattern slowly emerged. The picture was golden and had a 3-dimensional feel to it. Although it was projected on the screen, it seemed to be spreading into the 3-dimensional space. There were many complicated patterns on it, and they flickered with a golden light. What surprised Yunxiao was that in the center of the pattern were 3 golden tadpole-like characters that reflected each other, as if they were connected in some way. Is this the thing inside the Pearl of Dragon Bones? The demonic dragon asked in shock. Could it be that a great power in the past used these characters to refine the dragon bones? No wonder he. Yunxiao's face lit up as he said, I'm sad that this pearl still possesses such power after so many years. These words have their own laws, they are indestructible and will last for eternity. He stared at the three tadpole-like characters. He had seen one of them before in the Great Expansion Divine Technique. Although he couldn't understand its meaning, he had a good understanding of its rule force. The demon dragon sighed. This kind of sacrificial refining method is perhaps a power that only 10th level warlocks can possess. In a situation where no one in the entire continent can decipher these words, I'm afraid it'll be difficult to understand the meaning behind them. Yunxiao's expression gradually returned to normal as he said, not necessarily. What did you think of? The demonic dragon asked in surprise. Although Yunxiao's ideas seemed to be nonsensical and extremely dangerous, it had always been very effective. This bead should be the source of the power of the tower, Yunxiao said slowly. In other words, all our experiences in the tower are transformed by the rules in this bead. In other words, I should have understood most of the rules contained in these tadpole characters, and combined with some of the words I have mastered, I think it won't be difficult to understand the meaning in them. Once I understand them, although I can't read them, I will be able to understand them clearly. Maybe it's a good idea to use the rules to reverse the situation. Li Yunxiao, I have a favor to ask of you. The demonic dragon suddenly said, looking a little embarrassed. Yunxiao smiled, as if he had seen through his mind. You want this dragon bone? Yes, the evil dragon nodded seriously. I hope you won't damage the dragon bone pearl. Don't worry, Yunxiao said. The only thing that attracts me to this dragon bone pearl is just 3 characters in it. I'll give it to you after I've fully understood it. I'll be able to use it when I refine a body for you in the future. Thank you. The demonic dragon's heart warmed. Although Yunxiao had said that the dragon bone pearl was useless to him, anyone could tell that he was just making an excuse. Even if a 10th grade dragon bone pearl was useless, it was enough to cause a bloodbath on the continent and could be exchanged for any peak 9th grade treasure or other raw materials. If it weren't for the fact that such a valuable item was extremely important to the demonic dragon, he wouldn't have the nerve to ask for it. This was the skeleton of a real dragon. If he refined it into his body, it could even surpass his original physical strength, and he would have the chance to peek into the secrets of the 10th level. The demonic dragon understood the importance of this item. When did you become so pretentious? Yunxiao smiled and ignored him. He began to stand cross-legged in the air and study the 3 golden tadpole characters carefully. After that, the dragon gradually left and cultivated alone. Yunxiao soon immersed himself in his meditation. The most important thing in the art pagoda was to test one's soul power. In addition, one of the 3 words had appeared in the Great Expansion Divine Technique, so it was not impossible to trace it back. He kept thinking hard, doing all kinds of strange movements to simulate the changes and deduce the rules. After an unknown amount of time, 3 large golden characters finally appeared in his palm. They flickered with his every movement and emitted a strange power around him. Interesting. The phrase formed by these 3 characters has actually condensed rules and evolved into an attack that contains soul power. Even an alchemist can cast it. Although Yunxiao had understood it, he was a little disappointed. There were not many people in the world who were stronger than him in soul attacks. The meaning of these 3 words wasn't as great as he had imagined, but the advantage of this attack was that it didn't consume his soul power. Instead, it was a kind of condensed rule that could be directly transformed into a soul power attack. The mystic technique was indeed a little shocking. If it had appeared on the continent, its value would be even higher than that of the 10th tier dragon bone bead, which was equivalent to giving ordinary warriors the power to attack the opponent's soul. But for Yunxiao, it was of little value. I have at least 3 more golden tadpole-like characters, as well as the relationship between them. This is a great harvest. Yunxiao was quite satisfied, and he suddenly cried out, this is bad. I don't know how much time has passed. I shouldn't have missed the martial arts competition, right? With a flash, he disappeared into the Divine Realm tablet. After leaving the secret room, it was already night. There were servants in the small courtyard who had been guarding and waiting on him. After asking around, they found out that a day and a night had passed. The qualification selection had just passed today, and the top 13 had been decided to make up for the 20 places. Miss Ding has instructed that no one is to disturb young Master Yun's seclusion, the servant replied respectfully. When the time comes, Miss Ding will definitely come and invite young Master Yun personally. Yun Xiao nodded slightly and asked a little about the qualification battle. The servant had been guarding the small courtyard, but he could not tell him why. Bored, Yun Xiao waved his hand to dismiss him. Suddenly, his pupils constricted, and he frowned slightly as he turned his head away. In the small courtyard, he could faintly sense something, as if someone was calling him. At this moment, his soul power had reached the 8th tier, and it was much stronger than that of an ordinary 8th tier alchemist. With a sweep of his mind, he immediately locked onto a space and said coldly, "Who is it? Since you want to see me, just come out." The air above the void twisted slightly, and the space broke open like a mirror. A cold air was emitted from it, and the temperature in the surroundings dropped suddenly. A white figure appeared from within. Its entire body was like a transparent glass person, as if it would shatter with a single touch. There was no color on his face, and he looked extremely sad. Yun Xiao's body trembled as he cried out, "Yuan Bo." The pale white figure was Yuan Bo. He looked extremely miserable, and his face was filled with urgency. "Gu Feiyang, save me." The ice spirit body flew down with an anxious expression. Yun Xiao's body trembled. As expected, someone had seen through his identity long ago, and Yuan Bo had become like this. Something important must have happened. Suddenly, a cold and disdainful snort sounded. "The dignified third elder of the Myriad Treasure Store is hiding here and there. Is it good to be in such a sorry state?" Yuan Bo's face changed dramatically. The light on his body flickered violently, showing the extreme injustice in his heart. His eyes were full of fear. A crack suddenly appeared in the sky, and 2 figures descended. Their movements were perfectly symmetrical, and their target was Yuan Bo. Yun Xiao was shocked at the same time. The auras exuded by the 2 figures turned out to be martial sovereigns of the 9th heaven. He didn't have time to think. His body flashed and he teleported in front of Yuan Bo. The 2 northern heaven cold stars suddenly shot out, forming a sea of swords in front of him, pushing toward the 2. The all-out sword attack was only to help him block the attack for a while. After all, the other party was a martial emperor powerhouse, and it was impossible to stop him. After the attack, Yun Xiao opened the heavenly eye between his brows, and the Divine Realm tablet suddenly shot out, streaking across the sky like a star in the dark night, trying to take Yuan Bo in. No matter what happened, as long as they entered the Divine Realm tablet, they would be safe. Right at this moment, the space in front of Yuan Bo suddenly shattered, revealing a white-robed figure. It was as if he had been hiding there all along, but his disguise had suddenly disappeared. A contemptuous look appeared on the white-robed figure's calm face, and a sneer hung on the corner of his mouth. He gently struck out with his palm, and the entire space shook. It was as if the surrounding power of the natural order had all gathered under the power of his palm, and it was blasting toward the Divine Realm tablet. Boom! With a loud trembling sound, the Divine Realm tablet was sent flying back by the man's palm. At the same time, the 2 martial sovereigns broke through his sea of swords and attacked. 2 forces intertwined with each other and spiraled down, shuttling around Yun Xiao, trying to shatter him. Moreover, the 2 of them seemed to have come prepared. It was as if they knew that he could teleport. The wind from their fists sealed off all the spatial passages, making it impossible for him to use his soul power to teleport. "Stop! Don't kill him!" The man in white gave a cold cry, his eyes flashing with a cold air as he looked down at Yun Xiao with a contemptuous look on his face. Yun Xiao's face was extremely solemn. If the man in white had not stopped the joint attack of the 2 martial emperors, he would have been seriously injured and fallen. The 2 martial sovereigns seemed to have cultivated a secret technique that allowed them to join forces. They were already considered geniuses for being able to advance to the rank of martial sovereigns. Very few people would engage in team battles. However, these two had to join forces to deal with him, a martial emperor. They did not give him any chance of survival at all. Humph. The two martial sovereigns snorted at the same time and quickly withdrew their hands. Each of them performed a different seal technique and combined them in the air. The two intertwined attacks immediately dispersed and turned into two different forces that shot out and disappeared into the sky. The moment the man in white appeared, Yuan Bo's face fell, and he fled into the distance in a hurry. He knew that Yunxiao's current strength was not enough to save him. However, he was blocked by an invisible force after he had rushed out for only a dozen meters. He was unable to break through it all. His face instantly turned pale, full of fear and despair. The white-robed man formed a seal with his hands, imprisoning a part of the world. No power could break through it. He chuckled and said, "Yuan Bo, since we've already made a move, don't expect anyone to save you." "Is that so?" Mo Xiaochuan's cold voice rang out. A flash of sword qi streaked across the night sky like a bolt of lightning. It arrived in an instant and transformed into a sea of swords. As it rumbled down, it illuminated the surroundings. Yunxiao also made his move. He knew that the power of Mo Xiaochuan's sword was enough to break the cage. He transformed into a thunderbolt and flew up, shuttling through the dark night for only a moment, waiting for the sword qi to break the cage and save the people. "It's no use." A cold and disdainful voice rang out. The white-robed man casually raised his right hand and clenched it into a fist before punching at Mo Xiaochuan's sword qi. Everyone felt the space around them suddenly tighten at this moment, as if it had been frozen in place and was under great pressure. Yunxiao's pupils constricted. He knew that all the energy in the space had been extracted by this man. Even though he had transformed into a thunderbolt, he was still suppressed by the emperor aura and could not move. After the white-robed man drew on the power of heaven and earth, he transformed it into an infinite palm force that blasted toward Mo Xiaochuan's shocking sword. Before the fist wind arrived, the sword light was already affected by the spatial force and began to change shape. Then, the palm wind arrived and directly suppressed the sword qi. It was actually trapped in the air and could not touch the prison. What? Both Mo Xiaochuan and Yunxiao were greatly shocked. Such a powerful sword attack had been suppressed by a casual punch from this man. The white-robed man's strength was even above Su Danhe's. Who was he? There was no expression on that stiff face, and it was extremely unfamiliar. At this moment, several figures rushed out of Tianyuan Trading Company's encampment and surrounded them. "You've been restrained, right? I'll have to save you." Xiao Huanghelian's figure suddenly appeared. The white-robed man's fist intent did not seem to affect him at all. He also threw out a punch, and his own world rippled. "Eh? You're the one who focused on cultivating one punch?" As expected, the fist intent reaches the heavens. The white-robed man's eyes revealed a look of surprise, then he said indifferently, "It's just that his cultivation is too weak. It's a pity that he has such a world of fist intent." "Capture Yuan Bo," he ordered. "Capture Yuan Bo." Then, he retracted his left hand that had created the cage and performed an incantation gesture in front of him. He pointed out two fingers at the same time and rushed into Xiao Huanghelian's fist intent. It was like the eye of a vortex had opened. A huge force poured in from all directions and began to compress the fist intent world. His left and right hands moved separately, and he easily trapped the two of them. The remaining two figures flickered. One of them rushed toward Yuan Bo, while the other took a step in the air and arrived in front of the crowd. He stared coldly at the few figures of Tianyuan Trading Company who were rushing over, and a murderous aura surged out from his body. The man in white felt the killing intent and frowned, "Just stop them. The Lord has ordered that no one is allowed to kill anyone here." The Martial Supreme's face twitched, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness. He gathered power in his right hand in front of him and waved it out. Like a marshmallow, it pulled out a long ray of light and shot out directly. It suddenly expanded not far away, and the residual force pushed it away like a wave. Although it was fierce, it was not brutal. It immediately drowned the few rays of light and shook them far away. The other martial sovereign appeared in the sky above Yuan Bo in an instant, grabbing at him with a ferocious look. A small box appeared in his other hand, and with a light flick of his thumb, it opened up. A small golden formation was revealed inside, which was used to trap souls. Yuan Bo's soul shadow flickered in the air. Suddenly, he pointed out a finger, and an attack landed on the martial sovereign's palm with lightning speed. It was as if an extremely cold object had entered his hand. Ice flowers instantly formed on his entire arm, and his palm force froze. After the attack, Yuan Bo's figure grew even dimmer, then he immediately turned into a beam of light and shot toward Yun Xiao. Trash. The man in white suddenly shouted coldly, his eyes bursting with anger. The martial emperor was embarrassed and angry. He condensed his emperor chi and shattered the ice immediately. He threw a punch and then chased after her. Evil, allow, you, hate, buy-in. Mo Xiaochuan mumbled in a low voice as the Tiangang demon-slaying sword emitted rays of sword light and a terrifying aura. The white-robed man's expression changed slightly. Even though Mo Xiaochuan's strength was nothing to him, this Tiangang devil-rinsing sword was a peak 9th rank weapon. Moreover, Mo Xiaochuan had been nourishing the sword with his own body, using all his blood essence and soul vitality to nourish it so that it could unleash its greatest power at any time. Love and sound split open. As the last few words were said, the sword let out a terrifying trembling sound. The sword spirit was roaring again and again, extremely angry at being suppressed. The sword intent suddenly increased and broke through the suppression of the white-clothed man's fist intent. Humph, you do have some skills. No wonder the Lord asked me to personally watch over this side. Although the white-robed man was surprised, he did not panic at all. His right hand changed into an incantation gesture, and a strange talisman broke out of his palm. A golden light shone from his hand, and he slapped down. A golden tadpole-like rune flew out of his palm and expanded in the air. It was as if endless rules had appeared and once again suppressed Mo Xiaochuan's sword will. This time, even the sword spirit's roars were suppressed, as if there was no sound. What? Mo Xiaochuan was shocked. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. No matter how much he was defeated, the sword spirit's bloodthirsty battle intent had never diminished. At this moment, he could clearly feel that the sword spirit seemed to have lost its temper. The shock in his heart could not be any greater. How could this be? Yun Xiao's pupils constricted as well, and his heart was in turmoil. This was the first time he had seen someone use this golden tadpole-like character in a battle, which proved that the man in white had really mastered it. He had no time to be shocked. The moment Mo Xiaochuan broke through the suppression of the fist intent, the suppression on his body was also released. He teleported over immediately and reached out his hand to pull Yuan Bo into the Divine Realm tablet. The white-robed man's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly shouted, "If I can't get it, I'll just destroy it." The martial sovereign's heart trembled, and his eyes were filled with resentment. He had failed to complete such a small task. The humiliation spread in his heart. A destructive power exploded from his body, suppressing Yuan Bo in the air. Then, he opened his mouth and spat out a beam of sword qi, which flew down. Yun Xiao was taken aback. Under the suppression of the other party's emperor qi, his power could not penetrate it at all. A look of determination appeared on Yuan Bo's face as he smiled bitterly and helplessly. Life and death are determined by fate. I didn't think that I would still be unable to escape. My old friend, at first sight, you've become eternal.